Well, the family of a man in a high-speed crash now asking for justice. They want to know why the person responsible for the deadly crash received nothing more than a speeding ticket. CBS 12's Lily Ortiz is outside the Palm Beach County State Attorney's office where a protest was held earlier tonight.
The family of Andreline Silus, still reeling from the sudden death, continues to put pressure on the state. Now, they protested here outside the Palm Beach County State Attorney's office after its decision to not file any charges against a speeding driver who police say collided with Silus, killing her on scene.
Justice!
Calls for justice after a high-speed deadly crash killed 24-year-old Andreline Silus, a Palm Beach Atlantic University student. It was January 16th. The aspiring nurse was driving home from work when investigators say she was hit by 20-year-old Ryan Dolan at the intersection of Hypoluxo Road and Kingston Drive in Boynton Beach as she attempted to make a turn. According to the crash report, the young man behind the wheel was speeding at least 93 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone. Investigators did not suspect drugs or alcohol.
What do we need? Justice!
The Silus family, friends, clergy, and NAACP leaders protested outside the Palm Beach County State Attorney's office Tuesday afternoon after the office determined, after reviewing the evidence, no criminal charges will be filed. The state attorney's office tells CBS 12 News case law has determined excessive speed alone is not enough to charge someone with vehicular homicide. Yet the family's attorney, Richard Riles, says it's not just that, adding that there were additional factors from investigators that were overlooked.
There were multiple factors in addition to speed. The roadway was wet. The accident occurred in a residential area. If you look at and read the statements, there was a drag race going on between Mr. Dolan and his friend.
The report does say, in fact, Dolan was traveling at high speeds next to a third driver before the deadly crash. Court records show the young man was given a traffic ticket for municipal speeding.
We want him to be held to the same justice that every other American is held to.
Criminal defense attorney Greg Lerman, familiar with this case, adds that the state attorney's office decision does not necessarily mean the case is over.
There's always a point when speeding is not just simply speeding. The state attorney has the statute of limitations to reevaluate a case, to look at new facts that might come forward.
And we are still waiting to hear back from Dolan's attorney. In the meantime, the family says that no criminal charges may have something to do with her race. Now, the state attorney's office says that race is never a factor in decisions when it comes to filing charges or in prosecutions.
West Palm Beach police are still searching for the person or people responsible for the tragic shooting death of a 16-month-old boy.
It happened last Thursday in broad daylight while he was sitting in the car with his parents. But as our Al Pefley reports, none of the witnesses has come forward to identify who pulled the trigger.
Well, let me just say this. This is a tragedy in our city. 16-month-old that dies this way. But the most sad thing about it is the people that stood and watched this incident.
West Palm Beach Police Chief Frank Adderley says although they've offered a $10,000 reward in last week's murder of a toddler, they're still looking for the gunman who pulled the trigger.
16-month kid, infant, dies. A tragedy. That gets shot. And no one in this neighborhood is in an uproar? Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the only one that's fired up about this. But this needs to change.
According to the victim's family, the shooting happened right here in this parking spot where the toddler, his mother and father were all sitting in their car eating, and someone ran up to their car and started shooting. The police chief says their detectives have learned people were standing nearby watching the incident. There were people who stood around and watched?
That's what I'm being told. And we're looking for witnesses that can help us bring justice to the families.
The chief is not saying how many shots were fired, if the shooting was the work of more than one person, or what the motive might have been.
We're trying to build a strong community in this area. And if we're going to make a serious impact in changing violence in this neighborhood, we need to start here.
If police are going to solve this case and hold that boy's killer responsible, the police chief says they're going to need some cooperation.
And we need to make a positive change. People need to get involved. They need to become stakeholders and realize that we have extended our hand. We want to be your partners, and we want to make your neighborhood safe.
Neighbors tell CBS 12 News they need more police presence here.
They need more cops sitting, watching, just protecting everybody.
Most of the time that they come, it's already too late. Situations already happen.
We get there pretty quick, and the people that respond to this, Al, are dedicated to make that neighborhood safe. And we need to give credit to the West Palm Beach police officers that are doing that every day.
Chief Andreline says his detectives are continuing to work on this case, but would not discuss if they're close to making an arrest.